In this video, I'll take you through how you can allow multiple daily or hourly bookings on your WordPress website using the MotoPress Booking Calendar Plugin. In the free version, you can allow hourly bookings for bikes or any kind of services or rental services, we should say, daily bookings and nightly bookings. Now, in the pro version, for people who want to set flat rate pricing and also people who want to receive digital payments through cards and maybe PayPal, Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, depending on where you are located, you are able to use their Stripe integration to accept payment on your WordPress website. So on this website, which is actually a bike rental website, we have different calendars for different bicycles. So it could be for different rooms or apartments or houses or whatever rental equipment that you have. For example, if someone goes to the button rent now, they'll be presented the different calendars for the different services that are rentable. And for example, here we have this city bike and someone can book it for multiple days and they can book different units. So there are 5 units of this bike. That's how they can go ahead and select the number of units they want, and then they can proceed to the checkout, and then they can add their details, names and everything. I show you the entire process of how to add all these form fields and also how to integrate with Stripe payments. Now for hourly bookings, so for instance, this bicycle can only be booked in time slots. So half a day or an entire day, and you cannot do multi-day bookings. Now in the dashboard, you have the menu item calendar, and here is where you create your calendars, and you also have the menu item bookings. This is where all your bookings will appear, the bookings that have been made on this website. For example, if I open one here, you can see the kind of notifications that are being sent out, the form fields that are being collected, the client information, the reservations that have been made. All the details can be seen here. The different forms that are created for each individual calendar that you created on your website can be created just like this. I've built up a simple site right over here, and it's basically going to be a rental kind of website. It has 3 locations, and I want to show you how you can integrate this to a website that you already have. Of course, this is not a complete tutorial for this plugin, but it gives you a gist of what you are able to accomplish, especially with adding calendars and managing calendars, adding notifications and forms, and accepting payments on your WordPress website. Let's get started. Right now, we are going to go here into the dashboard and we are going to go to plugins. We are going to add the free plugin first of all. Add plugins or add a new plugin. Look up for MotoPress Booking Calendar. Right over here, MotoPress Booking Calendar. Don't confuse it with the MotoPress Hotel Booking. It's different. Just look up for the MotoPress Booking Calendar. Have it installed and activated. At the moment, I have it already installed and activated. Alternatively, I'll be leaving the link right down in the description of this video in case you want to go straight and download it from the WordPress repository, or even the pro version. I'll be leaving the link right down in the description of this video. Now, back here into our plugins area, once we install and activate that plugin, we have what we call the calendars menu item over here. And you see, I already have 3 calendars, but don't worry, I'm going to take you through how you can create these kind of calendars. Basically, what these 3 calendars are doing, when I come over here to rent an item, you see I have one calendar here, I have another calendar here, and this is another calendar. Now, each of these calendars are for a specific bike, because this bike rental shop has different bikes, and these bikes have different availability dates and as well different prices if you're going to hire or book this bike. So for example, this is a tandem bike. This is a bike where 2 people can ride together at the same time. The price is different and the bookable days are different, and they have less units for this. But for city bikes, those they have more units for them, but also a different price if you want to rent it out. And then I'm going to add a calendar for specifically the city bike. So basically, if you are going to book, for example, a bike, first of all, the MotoPress Booking Calendar gives you the option to rent out items either daily, hourly, or nightly. So for example, if you have a room that you want to offer to be booked nightly, so you can set up a calendar for that. If you have a bike, for example, this is a bike that I want to rent out. This can be rented out either hourly or daily. So in this case, this calendar here is daily bookings. So if I just, do like this, I can book this bike for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. And I can also decide how many units I want to book of this mountain e-bike. I can say I just want 1 unit and then I proceed. And if not that, you can also hire out or book a bike based on hourly, fees, or on the calendar that is hourly. So in this case, when I look up here on the tandem bike, the available dates are starting in February. And if I am going to book or hire this bike, I can only hire it for a specific time period in a day. So I cannot say I want to, hire it for the entire, week or something like that. And if you look up here and see, like on other dates, on the 28th, I can only still, take it up from 10 a.m. But if I look at other dates, like on the 17th, I can rent this bike from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So there is the possibility to hire it the entire day, and there's a possibility to only hire half a day. And I can also still choose which, units, or how many units do I want to hire, or do I want to take in this case. Anyway, now I'll be showing you later on how we can add a calendar here for a city bike and set up everything, including how you check out. For example, here when I say I want to book this tandem bike for half a day, I say check out. It takes me to this form over here, which I have to fill in with my name and email and agree to the terms and conditions, and then make a payment. And please don't forget, if you happen to have any questions, whatever it is regarding this booking calendar, let me know down in the comment box below. I'll be happy to, share with you what I know, because I know this may not be like an entire tutorial showing everything, but I want you to understand the fundamentals of how this plugin actually works. Now, back here to our calendars, we are going to start by creating a new calendar. So add a new calendar, and the calendar label here is going to be the name of the bike. So in this case, this is going to be city bike. So, and it's going to have multiple units. Multiple units is that 1 bike, 2 bikes, 3 bikes, 4 bikes, and they are all available to be rented out. So I have to say, yes, I enable that, and I want it to be daily bookings. The calendar for the tandem, like I've already mentioned, it's hourly booking. And once I select here the option for hourly booking, in the calendar settings, I'll have something totally different. So for now, I'm going to say daily bookings. First of all, come over here and set the start date of availability. So I'll say until end of June. That's it. So I'll say here update. And I'm going to come over here and say edit variable. And here I'm going to add the different units that I have. So first of all, it's a city bike. So I'll add small details here, and also a description, and also I'll add the picture of this city bike, which is there. Now I've added the picture, and now I'm going to add the available units. So the name, the title of the bike, and here I'm going to add the different units. So unit 1, I have unit 2. So that means that I have 5 units of this city e-bike, and here I'm going to simply say save. And that means that I will have added 5 units of this city e-bike. Now, when I click over here on the bulk edit, here I can edit the dates of availability, the days of the week, and also to which bikes does it apply. Remember, we have 5 units, and we have our 5 units added over here. So when I say select all, and I select all the weekdays, that means that all the weekdays are selected and are bookable. And remember, this setting applies for a date range from 7th October to 30th June 2026. All right, so here I'm going to add the price, which is 29, and I'll save changes. Now, the last thing that we have to do, the second last thing that we have to do, we have to add a form and a notification. So a form will help people to add their names at the checkout fields, And then also we are able to add a notification so that we know that people have booked our room or people have booked our bicycle, and they can also receive an email confirming their booking. So let's start with a new form. We come over here and add a form, and this form only applies to this calendar. So we are going to come over here and add a few details to this. So first of all, we are going to add a special note. So we want that when someone, before we go into a special note, let's first add a country that we want to know that if someone books our bike, we collect from which country they are coming from. 2, I want to know that when someone books our bike, they can also add a special form or a special note in case they want to say anything. And we can do that by simply adding a short answer widget, and we can say special request. That's it. And we could also add another option for accepting the terms and conditions. So checkbox, and here we say terms and conditions. And here we can add, by checking out, you agree to the terms and conditions. And here we can link them to our terms and conditions page. Something like this. I'll add a hashtag because I don't have a terms and conditions page apparently on my website, but I trust that you know what to do. Yes, by creating a terms and conditions and link it up right over there. Now, what else can we add over here? Of course, we can add as many custom blocks over here: phone, email, multiple choice options, and all that. And before I close this section up, just make sure that this is a required option, and make required any option that actually has to be required. You can as well customize this section down below here by adding a block. This is where this button is actually appearing right over here. So if you add anything in that section, it will be appearing right there with a price somewhere here. We don't have to add anything right over there for now. I'm just going to say create. But before we make it to be bookable, let's add a notification that when someone uses this form, we send out notifications to them. So I'll say add a notification and say city e-bike new booking. So this notification will be going to the administrator when someone books the city e-bike. And then I say publish. So I'll say add another notification. And this new notification, I'm going to add it and say it's for the customer. So I select the form that it applies to, and then I also select that this is going to be sent to the customer every time. So you see now we have, for a placed booking, a customer will receive a notification. And basically what is happening here, we have placeholders. Wherever you see this is a placeholder, and this is a placeholder. And as you go down here, the entire email is filled up with placeholders. And you can as well replace some of these placeholders with what you want. So in this case, if you added some custom widgets and you want to collect the information from the custom widgets on the email or in this form, so you're going to come over here and copy this HTML name, or you can actually customize it, because once you customize it, it will also show up the other side. So in this case, we wanted to collect the terms and conditions and what their preference was. If they checked that, we can also rename this over here. I'll also rename the special request, special-request. For the terms and conditions, I'll make it as terms conditions. And for the country, I'll make it as just country. MBC country. Just make sure that it's not anywhere here with the same shortcode. So I'll save this. And if I come over here and I reload, it should be able to bring back those names. So you see now I have country, I have special request, I have, also the terms and conditions. So I can carry these fields and add them into our form. These, copy them and come here to our form. I can add them here and just delete this. So at the end of the email, we shall be having these form fields collected. And then that means that we shall be seeing all the feedback that we got from our client. Now, also the client will be able to receive and see these in their email. That's why when you see this email, all this notification will be sent to the client and they'll be able to read this, all the details right over here. So I'm going to copy this over here, and I'll also add it to the admin side. So I come back here to notification, edit the admin template, and also add that information right here. That's all. We have now worked and edited our notifications form. Now let's go and add this calendar to our page and then be able to test out this entire process. So now this is our page, which I call the calendar or by calendar, but you can give it any other name if you are creating one. So here under pages, you see I have a page called calendar, and it's the page that I added right over here on the home page. When people come and click here in the header, this button takes them to the calendar homepage, and also this button here takes them also to the calendar homepage when someone clicks over there. Now we're going to add our calendar over here for this city bike. Back here to pages and say edit, and we have our, our section over here. So this has the heading and the description, and here we are going to simply add our calendar. So to add a calendar, you come over here to the widgets and look up for the booking calendar. So this widget here comes from MotoPress Booking Calendar, both light and the pro version. And now I have two booking calendar widgets. I only need one, so let me delete the first one. And here I'll have to select the calendar that specifically applies to the City Bike 2000. So I'll come over here, select my City Bike 2000, and here I will save changes. When I come back to the front page, I'm going to reload, and boom, you see I have a calendar for my City Bike showing up. Now people can start booking this bike immediately. So I'll just come over here. I say I want to book this for 4 days, and you see it automatically gives me a price. And if I want to book 5 of those pieces, you see I have to get a new price, which is supposed to be 500 something. I don't know why it's not updating. Yeah, now it has updated, 500 euros. Now when I say checkout, it takes me to a page like this that has the name, has the email, has the phone, asks me to add a country, asks me to add a special note, and I have to add or agree to the terms and conditions. Now I'm going to just do this real quick. Just like that, I have filled in the details as me, a client who is trying to book these bikes. And what I'm going to do now is to say book now. Now, when I book now, I get this reservation notification. And what this means that the client must receive an email on this email that they added. And also the administrator should receive an email on their administrator email. Now, the administrator email for your WordPress website can be found right over here. So 2 places. The first place is right here in MotoPress, because the MotoPress booking calendar pulls up the administrator email right over here. But if you want to change it here to put a custom one, you can go ahead and do that as well. When you go under settings for WordPress, you see you have also your administrator email right over there. Now, if you want to change that, now you know where to go. All right, now let's go and check our email. One first for the client. This here is the client email, which is booking 668. Now to see which booking is 668, I'll come back here to calendars. I'm going to go to bookings, and you see I have a new booking called 6680, booking number 668. When I look up over here, you see all the details that the client added on the sign up form or on the booking form, and what they booked and the units they booked and the amount of money that they have to pay or what they paid. And that's what the customer is also getting right here in the email notification that they get. Now, let's go and look at what the administrator sees in their email. So I'll come here. Here comes the email for the administrator, and it's also 668 as a booking. And you see that the administrator gets all the details from what the client added and what they booked and the special notes that they added. This all goes back to how we planned it. When you see this country, special requests, and terms and conditions, and you see it's also repeated here, that means that we have 2 of those. But now I guess you know what is happening in the background. Okay, so now we are going to go back here to our page. What else do we have to look into right now? We have to go to the payments, the Stripe section. But before we go into the Stripe section, let me just take you a little bit to show you what happens if someone wants to book hourly. Just come here to the calendars. I have a calendar for the tandem bikes. I'll edit this calendar. And as you can see here, you see that when someone clicks, someone can select the date when an item is able to be booked, and the starting time, and also the ending time when an item has to be booked. Just make sure that the time zone that you set up here must be matching the time zone of the website, and that you can set up under the WordPress administration section. Now let's go and look at how we can set up that our clients can actually pay us on our website. And to do that, we are going to first of all come here to plugins. We are going to add the hotel booking plugin, which is a pro version that you have to get it from MotoPress website. Under purchases, you have to come over here and add your site and the site URL and add your license, and also grab the license key. And when you come back here to the plugins area, when you activate that plugin, just make sure that you come here to settings and come here to license and enter your license key and then activate it, and you are good to go. By good to go, I mean you have to save changes. Once you save the changes, now we can get started. So we are going to first of all go back again, and we're going to go to settings. And here we're going to select the confirmation mode is only upon payment. Once you set this up, that means that we are able to start collecting payments at checkout. So we are going to say save changes. And next we come here to payments. And here we have to select the payment method. It is Stripe in this case. So here, save changes. And now let's go and set up our Stripe. To do that, we are going to come here to Stripe, and look, we have to enter in details. We have to enter in the public key, secret key, payment methods, configurations, webhook, secret key. Sounds like a lot, but it's really easy. Let me show you how to. Now, when we come here to Stripe, I hope you have a Stripe account, and I have to mention that the limitations of which payment methods that you are going to get in Stripe depend on the country where you are based. MotoPress has nothing to do about that, but it's what it is. I'm already in the test mode of my Stripe account, and the first thing that we have to add is a public and secret key. When you enter into your Stripe account, so when I come over here and come here to developers, I have something called API keys. And by the way, you can also just follow the links right over here to go straight to that section in Stripe. So here I have my public and secret key. I'll copy those. I'm still in test mode, by the way, so nothing is going live on the website. And here is also my secret key. And now I have to enter my payment method configuration ID. This is very important because this decides which kind of payment methods we can accept on the website. In case you can't find it, the best way to do it, you can just say payment methods. And there it will bring you to this part. If not, you can just come over here to settings and then come over here to payments. There is payment methods, and then you come over here to payment methods and you are back here. So I'm going to create a new configuration, which I'm going to call MotoPress Booking. You can give it any name, but just make sure that you can remember the purpose as to why you created this in your Stripe. That I have to say. So create the configuration, and here we go. So we can enable all these payment methods based on where I am right now. So I can enable card payments from all regions. I can enable Alipay, Amazon Pay. So in this case, I've turned on my cards or card payments, and I've also turned on PayPal. So I want people to pay me by credit cards and debit cards, and also with their PayPal accounts. So now I have to copy this, payment method, merchant or configuration ID, not merchant ID, but configuration ID, come back here and add right over there. Now the last one, but also very important, is the webhook secret key. How do I get that? First of all, we are going to come back here and scroll down below here, and we have something called webhooks, and we are going to add a destination. And here I'll select the API version, so I'll just use the latest one. Before we continue, let's go back here to our settings page. Under the webhook secret key here, MotoPress tells us that we have to use the supported events, or we have to add supported events that we want to track. In this case, the payment intent cancelled, payment intent, payment failed, payment intent requires action, and payment intent succeeded. So these are 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, there are 4 in our Stripe account. We're going to add payment underscore intent, and here we're going to select what we want: cancelled, requires action, succeeded, and failed. So we want to have these. I hope those are the right ones. So cancelled, failed, requires action, and succeeded. Cancelled, failed. Exactly. So I say continue, and here I'll click on webhook endpoint. I'll add the webhook endpoint, and in this case it's the URL, and that URL is given by you here. So it will have your domain name, and just copy the entire webhook URL address and add it over here. And just like that, we can now track our payments that come through Stripe. Now we are going to copy our webhook secret key. So when I show it to you over here, this is what is needed. And we come here and add our webhook secret key. And the checkout local, this is basically saying that when someone is going to check out, the checkout will be in the language of the website visitor. Once that is done, save changes. Now we can test out our payment. So to do that, we are going to come here to our website. I think I'll just use a private window. So I'm going to come here to our calendar. I'm going to try to book our city bike. So for 5 days, I want 5 pieces. So there are going to be 5 bikes, and I'm going to say checkout. So here it shows the different dates and time, and here I'll add the details, or my client, or my names as a client in this case. I'll need 5 helmets and locks, and terms and conditions accepted, and see what happens. We have Stripe and PayPal showing up on our checkout. So the client can decide what they want to check out with. In this case, I'll say Stripe, and I'll select add these numbers, and CVV will be 123, and here I'll add and book. And just like that, here is our confirmation of booking. It means that now we can actually process payments on our website. I mean that you can now have your items, or your rentable items, rooms, apartments, equipment booked on your website easily. In just under half an hour, you have everything set up. If we are to look at my inbox, I should have received an email as a client once again. Martin Travis, you remember that client, and he paid the total price of that amount, and you see all the details of that booking. Same will happen for the administrator. And that means that once you turn off the test option and add in the live details for the API and secret keys and everything, then you are good to go, and you are good to get started having your bookable items to be paid for by your website clients. But one thing I have to mention, the MotoPress Booking Plugin is not perfect, but it does the job. So for example, there is a small bug which I found, but I think by the time I publish this video, this bug will be fixed. So for instance, this over here, this is a multiple choice option like you see over here, but in actual sense, it's a radio button. And here it doesn't give me the option to select a radio option, and it gives me the option to select a checkbox option, but it doesn't do exactly what I want. Of course, this is not a complete tutorial for this plugin, but it gives you a gist of what you are able to accomplish, especially with adding calendars and managing calendars, adding notifications and forms, and accepting payments on your WordPress website.